Coaches, good morning from Portland, Oregon. Keith here, and today we have author of Selling Boldly, Alex Goldfayn. Alex, welcome.
Hello, Keith. Thank you for having me.
Okay, well, good to have you here. And Alex and I have been in discussion for, probably about 6 months as we've developed the relationship, Alex.
Yes, sir.
And we'll be welcoming Alex to join us in San Diego, coaches. But today what we want to do, we want to get right into the content of Selling Boldly, Alex's book. Encourage you to pick it up on Audible. Alex, let's start out. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and let's get right into the content for coaches.
Sure. So, Keith, thank you again for having me. I run a revenue growth consulting practice, and the work is to grow the sales of my clients by 10 to 20%. So everybody grows 10 to 20% annually, and they do that for as long as they implement some of these things that we're going to talk about here today. The work is very complicated. It revolves around helping more customers more. And so today, the way that I'm framing this is let's talk about growing your coaching revenue. Let's talk about bringing on more coaching clients. Let's talk about creating more opportunities to help them, which in turn means more opportunities for them to pay you for that help. And so that's the direction I'd like to take today, if that's okay with you, Keith.
That sounds great. I'm going to go off video now. Feel free to ask questions as we go, and I'll do the likewise. So enjoy, coaches. Alex, over to you.
All right. Thank you very much. So everything we talk about today is in the book called Selling Boldly. It is my fourth book, but it is my first book that became a bestseller, as you can see here, which means I'm hitting 250. That's enough to stay in the league, Keith, but that's about it. I get to keep playing. Here is the contact info, the website, the phone number, should you need it. Now, everything we talk about today, you guys already know. And everything we talk about in San Diego, you guys already know. I'm not going to talk about or teach you anything you don't already know. For example, you know that the telephone is a more effective tool than email is. And yet, many of us tend to go to the email. You know that your clients can probably do more with you, buy more with you than they do today. You know that your clients know of other business owners, business executives who could also be clients. And you know that if you ask them for a referral and they're happy, they would give you that referral. And yet, we don't ask very much. So just because you know something doesn't mean that we do it. And there's a difference between knowing what to do and actually doing it, right? Knowing doesn't make you any money. It's the doing that makes the money, right? Knowing won't make you a dollar. So in this work, both today and in San Diego, we're going to talk about what are you going to do. My clients who add 10 to 20% to their sales annually, and some grow by 30 and some grow by 40%. That's the average, 10 to 20 is the average. They add that revenue through doing things, through lots and lots of really fast, systematic, repeated communications with customers and prospects. And the more that people hear from us, the more they buy from us. And the less that customers and prospects hear from us, the less that we communicate with them, the less they buy from us. And so this here is a system of communicating more. Now, everything I'm talking about here today, as well as everything I'm going to talk about in San Diego, is in the book. So if you need to go back and refresh something, if you need a script, if you need language, if you need any reference whatsoever, the things we're talking about today are in the book. So let me tell you 3 quick stories really quickly. We'll do the same 3 in a bit of a longer form when we are together in San Diego. I was buying an iced coffee at the Minneapolis airport, and one of the, in fact, there was one young lady, she was probably 20 years old behind the counter. She says to me, "Would you like a bottle of water with that?" I said, "Sure, I'm getting on the airplane." But I also said, "Gosh, she just asked me the did you know question, which is something that I teach." I said, "Did I teach you how to ask this question?" She said, "Yes, they do. It's a part of our training." I said, "How many people buy a bottle of water?" She said, "Almost everybody buys a bottle of water." Keith, guess how much the water costs in the airport at the coffee shop?
I cheated, $5.
That's right. It's a $5 bottle of water. And how much did the coffee cost, since you've already read it?
$3.50.
Yeah, well, $3, about $3. I just drink a regular old iced Americano. So with the simple question, would you like a bottle of water with that? This coffee shop nearly triples its revenue from $3 to $8. Not with coffee, right? Here's the iced coffee, by the way. Here we go. Not with coffee, but with water. With water, right? Glass of water for me here. I'm at home, but $5 add-on to a $3 order almost every time. So the question is, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this right now, the question is, what is your bottle of water? What is yours? What are your clients buying from you year after year, niching you into that thing that they're buying? And what are they not buying that they need, that they would like to have your help in, that you would like to help them in? And none of that is possible because they don't know. So Keith, let me ask you, the main thing your coaches sell to clients is what? What's the main thing?
Planning services with coaching at the executive team level.
Good. And then give me another thing that they could do for clients that maybe not everybody does.
One-on-one coaching with the CEO to develop the CEO.
Good. So that's one bottle of water, one-on-one coaching with the CEO. Give me another one real quick.
Bringing in the content from another thought leader to go beyond the normal planning and building a growth roadmap, but going deeper. For example, top grading might be one, simple numbers, Greg Crabtree, financials. Several thought leaders have content that can also accelerate clients' growth.
Good. So those are two did you know questions you just asked me. Those are two bottles of water. And my guess is we could have probably kept going with that, Keith, and we could have gotten to double digits. Would that be fair?
Without a doubt.
Yeah. And so we want all of these did you know questions, all of these bottles of water, we want them all to be around things that people can pay us for, right? So they're not, did you know I've been in business for 20 years? They're, did you know I can also help you with CEO coaching? Did you know that we can do strategic planning for you if you're not doing it now? Did you know that we can handle perhaps some of, or at least we can help you do your accounting in the right way so that you're gaining the most possible profit? I don't know, I'm just talking off the top of my head, but all the did you know should be things that people can pay you for. So right now, today, I'm suggesting to you that your clients, your current clients, who have been with you for a long time, perhaps, would like to buy more from you, could buy more from you, perhaps are buying things from others, from the competition that they would like to buy from you. And that's not happening because they don't know. We're going to tell them. This work is about telling them. Let me tell you another quick story. This one will be shorter. I was buying a insulation for my house. And I'd never bought insulation before, and I don't know much about buying insulation, but 3 companies came out to give me a quote. Only one of them followed up. Keith, guess who got the business?
The one that followed up.
That's right. Guess who was the most expensive?
The one that followed up.
That's right. Why do you think that guy got the business?
Well, I mean, part of it is relationship, and he showed eagerness and desire.
Wasn't he bothering me, though? Wasn't he annoying me when he was following up, taking my time, stepping on my toes?
He was solving a problem for you.
Yeah, he was helping me, right? He was interested. He gave a damn, right? He was present. The other 2 weren't. He even said to me, send me the other 2 quotes. I'll make sure I'm not missing anything. I said, sure, here you go. I knew it wasn't fair to the other guys, but where were they? They weren't here. My guy was here. People like it when we follow up. By the way, he's since gone to my parents' house and my in-laws' house too, and he's done 2 more projects in my house. That's what following up does. That's what being interested does. And the last story is, have you stood around in a circle like this with some other people, some colleagues, some friends, and one person says, I need a chiropractor, or does anybody have a good painter from my house because my guy's been leaving a mess? What did the other 3 people do, Keith?
Well, often they'll say, well, I've got one too. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. They not only do they give the referral, they argue with each other, right? They fight with each other to give the referral. No, you need my guy. You got to use my guy because they're not going to make you sign up for 3 times a week for 17 weeks, right? Because that's what chiropractors do now. You can't just go once and get your back fixed. So people love to give referrals because it's helpful and it's useful. And they have a friend and they have a provider, and they need each other and they connect each other. And who comes out looking the best from that, Keith? If you make a referral to me and that person buys and I'm thrilled and your person's thrilled, who looks the best?
The person giving the referral.
That's right. People love to give referrals. It's just that we don't ask. We know this, right? I'm sure you agree with me that people like to give referrals. I'm sure you agree with me that people like it when we follow up. You agree with me that there's other things you can do for people who want that from you, and yet we don't ask. Excuse me, I'm going to cough for a moment. I told Keith at the beginning of this, I'm working injured. The flu is in my house, but the good thing is you cannot catch it. The technology isn't there yet. You cannot catch it.
That is the best news of the day.
Folks, this is my question. If we know these things, if we know that people would like to buy more from us, and if we know that people like to give referrals, and if we know that people like it when we follow up, why don't we do them more? The reason is fear. Fear has cost you all a lot of money, an awful lot of money. Keith, in your career, I would guess millions of dollars over the years. Over the years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the years that you've been in business, and this is for everybody. Millions of dollars in phone calls not made, in business not asked for, in additional services not offered. We are afraid of what, Keith? What's the fear of?
Rejection.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're afraid of rejection because we get it all day long, don't we? If our work involves the business of selling, which all of our work does, right? Mine certainly does, Keith, yours certainly does. People watching our webinar right now, the fear of rejection is the thing that keeps us from doing these things that we know we should do. And so we'll dive into more of this in San Diego. But what makes us afraid? You know, I have here salespeople, but we could easily change this to coaches. Anybody who sells. Where does this fear come from? And then in the parenthetical here, I have, when do clients call? They only call. Keith, do they call when they're happy? Hey, great job. That was awesome. Can I pay you some more money now for that? Great work. Do they call with that?
Typically when they have a need or are upset.
That's right. When something's wrong, right? When there's a problem, when you made a mistake, when the date doesn't work for them, but you're going to have the meeting anyway, when they're offended about something. That's when people call. That's when they pick up the phone, right? When it's urgent enough or bad enough for them to do so. And so we spend 100% of our time with the 10 to 20% of our clients who are unhappy. And then if it's important, I'll repeat it. We spend 100% of our time dealing with the 10 to 20% of our clients who are unhappy. The other 80 to 90%, the happy ones, they're not calling. They're good. They have no reason to call. Why? Why would they call? They're good. Believe me, they're calling others. They're calling other providers that they're not happy with. They're just not calling you. It's like when you go to the restaurant and the waiter or waitress is making mistakes. You call the manager over if it doesn't get any better, and we complain. Now, the other day I was at the restaurant and with my family. I have 9-year-old twins, and the waiter or waitress was doing a great job. Did I call the manager over to compliment the waiter or waitress? No, I didn't. Why would I take time out of my day when it's good? It's supposed to be good. Why would I do that? So the fear comes from the fact that we spend almost all of our time dealing with people who aren't happy, and we don't want to go towards more of that. Why would I proactively communicate with somebody about my CEO coaching services or my bottle of water? Or why would I follow up on my proposal when they're probably going to be unhappy? Because they're always unhappy. Why would I ask for a referral from somebody and risk rejection there too? So that is why we are afraid. That is where the fear comes from. Keith, thoughts or questions?
Yeah, so there's a false assumption going on then. Let me just point that out, and Alex, agree, disagree, affirm, or modify. So since almost all the calls, if not all the calls coming in, are typically when there's something wrong, then subconsciously we're assuming then if I call somebody, I'm going to have to deal with something wrong, as opposed to dealing with someone who might be really happy and be waiting to want to refer you.
That's right. And we have to go to those happy people because they are not calling. And so what happens is, because we tend to only be reactive to what's incoming as opposed to proactive, which is what this whole webinar and my entire program is about, we start going to the customer and the prospect. We have to go to the happy ones. The happy ones don't call us. And so your false assumption is, well, they're probably going to be unhappy because everybody's unhappy. So I think you're exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
So then the question becomes, what do we do about it? How do we deal with and eliminate this fear? What do we do about it? Well, the first thing we have to do is we have to go to the happy ones. We have to go talk to the happy ones because we're not talking to them. The way to change your mindset to do this uncomfortable proactive communications, which we don't do because of fear, is to go to the happy customers. And so I'll just show you really quickly here. We're not going to spend a lot of time here. So I have a client called Dwyer, and I have a client called Artistic Carton. And I tend to work in manufacturing, distribution, and service businesses. I have engineering clients. I have legal clients. I have accounting clients. And so Dwyer is a manufacturer. And here are some of the words that Dwyer's customers had to say about Dwyer. And you can see what they're talking about here, right? Dwyer gets my drawings approved because of their reputation. The lead time with Dwyer is 3 to 4 weeks, with others 6 to 8 to 10 weeks. Dwyer's in the top 6 out of my 200 vendors. And here is a client of mine called Artistic Carton. Keith, I work in very sexy industries. So Dwyer manufactures building automation supplies. Artistic Carton makes just what they sound like, cartons. Look at this. I get the warm and fuzzy feeling from Artistic that I do not get from my other vendors. How about that? They're buying cartons, for goodness sake. Mm-hmm. I want to keep Artistic in business for the next 100 years so we can continue to work with them. Artistic saves me 20 to 30% of my time. So if we did a quick role play here, Keith, if you would indulge me, and we didn't prepare for this, but let's just kind of see how it goes, mm-hmm. If that's okay. You be a coaching client for a moment, okay? Mm-hmm. So you be a client, and I want you to think of a specific person, if you could, please. Mm-hmm. I want you to think of an actual human that you've either worked with or one of your coaches has worked with that you know fairly well, who we know is happy. Mm-hmm. Can you think of one like that? They've been with you for a long time, and we know this client is happy.
Mm-hmm. Jeff.
Jeff, okay. And what kind of business does Jeff run?
Jeff is in the home buildings, a VP of construction at a large home building client.
Very good. And does he work with you, Keith, or somebody else?
Let's see. As a coach, I work with the CEO and the leadership team, which includes Jeff.
Got it. So let's do this. I'll just for the next 3 minutes, I'll be you, and you be Jeff. And okay. So I would like to talk to you as Jeff and just ask you some specific questions. Mm-hmm. And in San Diego, what we might do, if this works out for us logistically, is maybe talk to an actual coaching client on the phone in front of the room, and we can do a live interview like this so people can see it and experience it. Mm-hmm. So I'd like you to get into Jeff's mindset. I'd like you to sort of think through what's important to Jeff and what matters to him and what he likes and doesn't like. And if you're ready to roll, we'll start.
Ready to rock.
Okay. Jeff, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. And I'm calling you on the phone here. We'll talk for 3 minutes or so, and I'll get you off the phone. Normally, these would be 15 or 20 minutes. Jeff, remind me, how long have we been working together again, please?
Let's see. It's been a decade. We're celebrating our 10th year this year, Keith.
10 years. That's a long time. What's kept you with us so long? What are some of your favorite things about working with us?
Well, let's see. I would say one is the tools are very practical, and they work every quarter when we're together and at annual planning. Very Even good. Though we grow through seasons of up and down, they're always applicable. We like your experience and insights as a coach as well as a CEO, as you work with our CEO. So that insight and seasoning is good. And then we love how you bring learning ideas, books, thoughts, blogs, videos, articles. You challenge us to learn and then to put it to work in our culture. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. How does that help you? What's gotten better for you, Jeff, as a result of your time with us?
Well, one big thing is really having a strong process for finding A-player talent and then being relentless in demanding that team members keep a high bar as what we call an A player or a B player, preferably an A player. So that would be one. And then the new content and ideas coming in that we discuss, there's usually a jewel at every session we apply and we can take to work in the business. Those are a couple great things.
Very good. And if I could ask you, if you didn't have us, so if you weren't a member here for all that time, would it have taken you more time to have done all of these things? And I guess my question is, has being a member helped to save you time?
I would say that the journey together has accelerated our growth, and it's limited mistakes that we would probably make on our own. And it's allowed us to make a quicker recovery where we make a mistake, as well as avoiding mistakes as a team to accelerate our growth.
Eliminate mistakes and make quicker recoveries. That's cool. From mistakes. And if you had to estimate it, if you had to put a number to it, and you could use percentages here if you wish, how much time do you think it saved? How, in terms of not making mistakes and recovering faster, give me a ballpark. What percent? How much do you think you've saved as a result of being with us?
I would probably say 15 to 20%.
Really?
On average over a decade, if you look at
15 to 20% time savings annually over a decade, right? So that's pretty cool. So, you know, that's if we figure in round numbers 220 days a year, and so 20% of that is 44, and 15% of that, if my math is right, is 33 days a year, right? So 15% equals 33 days per year, if I'm getting that right. And over 10 years, that's 330 total days. Is that fair to say?
It's a year, over a year.
But that's coming up on a year and a half there, almost.
That's right. Work days,
you're
right.
In fact, I think it's exactly a year and a half, because 15% of 10 years would be a year and a half. I mean, is that comfortable for you, Jeff, to kind of say it that way?
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Have you ever thought about it that way before?
No, I haven't.
What do you think? How does it make you feel?
It makes me feel like we made the right decision.
That's a hell of a lot of time. Let me ask you the sort of the last question here, and then I'll get you off the phone. Tell me about the relationship. What's it like to work with Keith and the other coaches?
Let's see. So enjoy the learning together, the coaching, the sessions. We've really got that down to a great rhythm. But also some of the insights and the additional exercises that are brought in outside of the tools and the framework. We've done some pretty cool things for team building as well.
What's it like to work with them, though, Jeff? Tell me about the process, the interacting together. Tell me about the relationship.
I need you to be a little more specific there.
Okay. Is it friendly? Is it easy? Is it warm? Is it comfortable?
Okay. Yeah. So definitely friendly. Pretty comfortable, but also an edge where there needs to be an edge, either when we're stepping out of bounds on time or we're going in a direction that's counterproductive.
Good.
And no one is silent. Everyone participates. All voices are heard really well, so we really appreciate that.
Good.
And we also experience what Keith has shared about Jim Collins' disagree and commit. We'll have a spirited, in some cases, a heated debate, but then we'll land on the same thing and agree to go in that same direction. That's pretty cool.
But we always agree to go in the same direction. Awesome. Listen, thank you very much. I know I went over my 3 minutes, but it was such valuable information. And as you can see here, I've written so many notes that I have to make the text smaller so I can fit it all on the screen. Thank you very much for your time, Jeff. I appreciate it. My last question to you is it okay with you if we use some of your comments in our materials?
I think that would be great. It would be helpful for me to see whatever you're going to use, kind of final state, and then I'll feed it back to you with an approval or any small modifications.
Happy to do that always, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Now, you didn't know I was going to do that, Keith. And I didn't want you preparing too much, and I didn't want you thinking about it, so I wanted to to kind of do this off the cuff.
Great.
I would suggest to you that if I actually did this interview with Jeff, or if you actually had that conversation with Jeff, it would go about this way. You probably covered it about 90% of what he actually would have said, you know, in this way. And I think you would have, I think the most powerful thing is this, it's quantified here. And this is about how it would have gone. And so then the question for the coaches who are with us right now is, what do you think happens when you regularly and systematically hear this kind of feedback, right? When you hear the good stuff, the happy stuff, right? How do you think people react to that? What happens to people?
Yeah, it's going to build their, what I call professional esteem, without a doubt.
Exactly right, right? They become all of these things. They become more positive, more confident, more optimistic, more grateful and happier. They persevere more. And, you know, these words on the screen, they're not exactly selling words, are they? They're not exactly, they're kind of yoga words. They're not exactly professional words. But, you know, who do you think outsells who? The positive salesperson or the negative one? The confident one? Or I think in our world, the opposite of confidence is kind of meekness, right? The meek salesperson. Who would you rather buy from, the optimist or the pessimist? No, I don't think our stuff is going to be right for you, Mr. CEO. The optimist is going to always outsell the pessimist. And finally, study after study shows us that grateful salespeople always outperform those who are the opposite of grateful, which technically is ungrateful. But I think in the sales universe, the opposite of grateful is cynical, is cynicism. You know, if you've been around long enough, you become cynical, and that's the opposite of grateful. And the science shows us, interestingly, that it's the gratitude that leads to success, not the other way around. Meaning, if you're not grateful on your way to success, when you succeed, should you succeed, you don't suddenly become grateful. It's the gratitude that leads to the success, not the success that leads to the gratitude. So when you listen to this kind of feedback from your clients, you become all of these things. And back to the question now about how do we deal with and eliminate the fear? You listen to happy customers, and quite literally, it inoculates you against the fear. Not only does it eliminate the fear, it's a flu shot, which in my world didn't work so well, because I did get the flu shot, and here I sit with the flu. It's a flu shot, an immunity shot against fear. That's what it is. Listening to happy customers. It overwhelms all of that negativity that you receive during the day. And that is what we do to get people into the right mindset. Now, it's interesting. Let me go to this slide, and then I'll put it here. The equation to success, and this is new, so the slide doesn't even exist. This is literally less than a week old, so you guys are some of the first people seeing this. The equation to this 10 to 20% sales growth, right, which is here. I'm going to put it here. So again, my clients average 10 to 20% sales growth. Some grow 30, some grow 40. What causes that, right? What's involved? How does that happen? 50% of that is the mindset shift, is when we listen to happy customers, and my clients get a dozen interviews, 24 interviews, like the one we just did, actual interviews. And we sit in an all-day workshop and we listen to them. We literally listen to the happy customers and the customer's voice and the customer's words and the client's words, talking about what makes you excellent and what's kept them with you for so long. So 50% of it is the mindset shift from fear to all those words I had on the screen: positivity, confidence, optimism, gratitude, happiness, joy, and so forth. Okay. 40% of it is the system. 40% of it is the system, which means it's the repetition, if I spelled it right. Does that look right to you?
Yes.
Repetition, okay. And then let me give you the other 10%, and I'll talk about them together. The 10% then becomes the actual actions, right? So the did you know we do CEO coaching on its own is a relatively tiny part of what will make you successful. But saying to everybody all the time, did you know, that we can do CEO one-on-one coaching and development all the time, 5 times a day, every day of the week. So if you do that 5 times a day as you make your proactive phone calls, that's 25 times a week, that's 100 times a month, and that's 1,200 times a year. And we know, so that's your system here, right? That's your repetition, 1,200 times a year. So if you ask once, it's a snowflake that falls to the ground, melts, and it's gone. If you ask 1,200 times in a year, what you have is a blizzard. And the statistics tell us, we know from statistics that 20% of did you know questions turn into business. So on average, if you ask 1,200 did you know questions a year, just yourself, just personally, you should expect 240 new line items of business. Now, if that sounds absurd, you can cut it in half and you can go to 2 or 3 did you know questions a day. And if you don't like that, you can cut it in half again. But no matter how many times you cut it in half, it's still interesting and it's still a lot of money. Now, that's
Alex,
40%. Yes, sir.
Can I give you a challenge question? Okay, so I want to give you the scenario here. So there are 3 types of coaches listening in. The first set of coaches have been in the business 5+ years, and they've got 12 to 15 clients, and they have more clients than they can handle, and they're turning business away. Okay, the next set of coaches are in the middle, and they're going to have, let's say, 5 to 8 clients that are happy and they're servicing, and they're looking to double that over the next few years. And those coaches have been in the organization, 3 to 5 years, let's say. These are kind of approximations. And then the first group are the coaches listening in that are have 2 to maybe 4 clients, and they are still on the ramp up. And so talk to each of those. Based on what we shared thus far, the coaches that have 12 to 15 clients, I think this is very, very applicable, okay? There's a lot of folks to talk to and to build. How about the coaches much earlier at the beginning stage, 2 years into the organization, coach may be struggling a little bit, they have 3 clients. What would you say to them, Alex? How would you help them? And you're on mute still, Alex.
Thank you. Is that better?
There you go. So how would you
I would say to them that we have a group of communications actions. And before we're done here, Keith, I'm going to spend about 10 minutes taking people through the actions. The reason we only spend 10 minutes is because the actions themselves, number one, people kind of know what they are already. They know how to do them. And number two, it's only about 10% of the total impact. So my answer is there's a group of actions that focus on expanding your business with your existing clients, which is for the coaches who have 13 to 15 clients in your first group. Then we have a group of actions that are for bringing on new clients, right? This is prospecting, and selling and developing business, right? This is actually developing clients, new clients. And this would be for your smallest, your group of newest coaches. And then in the middle, the group that's 3 to 5 years with 5 to 7 clients, these folks, I think, need to do both. They need to go after new clients, and they need to offer additional services and value to existing clients to grow the revenue with them. So I think we have actions like proactive phone calls to prospects, as well as asking for referrals that will develop new clients. And then we have actions like did you know questions, which we've already talked about, and also reverse did you know questions, which is listen, what other kind of executive development are you looking for that we can help you with? And you let the client tell you what they're looking for. And that group of actions focuses on developing additional revenue and value with your existing clients. So I would say we have 2 groups and 2 groups of actions, and your newest group needs to use the selling and marketing for new clients actions, and your most established group needs to use the actions for expanding business with current clients. And then in between, I think we bring them together for the group with 5 to 7 clients, and they use both. That's what did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So what we want to do, really the key to all of this, is to know how good you are, be aware of your great value, and then behave accordingly. The way to know how good you are is to listen to your happy clients, which is the conversation we just had. Behaving accordingly means be bold. Be in front of your customers and prospects. be present, ask these questions, which we're about to talk about. And so that's what behaving accordingly, which means boldly. That's what that looks like. So this is really nothing more than repeated, systematic, lightning fast, proactive actions focused on helping more people more. I don't even call it selling. I simply call it helping more people more. That's what we want to do. You're in the help profession, right? You work intimately with your clients. You work closely with leadership teams. And so what we're going to do is help some more people more by repeatedly and systematically taking lightning fast, proactive actions. So I want to show you something about myself now, if I could. And Keith, you and I have talked about this in our conversations as we've kind of gotten to know each other. I was born in Ukraine, and we came here when I was 2 years old, and we lived in this little apartment right here. I don't know if you can see where I'm tracing. I'm going to put my pointer here on the door that was our door into our apartment. And it was 400 square feet from that window to that window. And in that space lived my mom and my dad and my grandma and my grandpa and my great grandma and I. And this is my dad. He is standing in the hallway that goes into this courtyard, looking at the condition of things. About 4 or 5 years ago, we went back, and that's where these photos are from. So I was 2 years old. Right now I'm 42 years old. So 40 years ago, my dad, as a 24-year-old, I think, if I have that right, dragged us out of what was then the former Soviet Union, and brought us here to America, which at the time was the enemy. It's not like they were friendly. It was the height of the Cold War. He and nobody else knew English in my family. The 6 of us that lived in this 400-foot apartment were my mom, my dad, my grandma, my grandpa, and my great-grandma, and I. And he was the only one who wanted to come. Nobody else wanted to go. So he dragged us out and brought us here. We came with $20. That's it. $20 US. Last year, my consulting practice did $3 million, and I work solo. I work by myself. This year, it's going to be between $4 and $5 million. I came here with 20 bucks, no English language, parents who had to do work like deliver pizzas and drive a taxi. That's what they did as they learned English. My dad was a trained engineer. So that's me in front of the front door. And that door that I'm in front of is right, these doors right here behind my dad's head. And you can see that the concrete over my head has probably fallen on people that have stood there and killed them. And you look at the condition of things, and it just cemented for me how lucky I am to be here, you know? And so even when I don't want to, even when I don't feel like it, I think about where I come from, which is here on the screen, and I do it anyway. Because there's a lot of time, this is not the most comfortable work in the world. We have to pick up the phone and go talk to people, and probably be rejected, because that's what happens when you're selling. So I think about where I come from, and I think about who I work for, which is my family and my dad, and I do it anyway. This is my family now. I have those 9-year-old twins that I told you about. This is us in Hawaii a couple of springs ago. And this is who I work for, and this is why I work. And it's very important to be clear on why you work and who you work for. Keith, I pause and want to see if you'd like to interject or react or ask anything here.
I just want to first, Alex, you've shared the story, even though I'm hearing it for the second time, it is still deeply touching, and I appreciate you sharing your story. And as we work with coaches, we encourage them to find their why for what they do as a coach. What's the why behind they choosing this profession? And I like what you said here. It's not only why do you do your work, but who do you work for? Coaches, think about that a minute. Who are you working for? That's a great question.
Another question I like to ask is who deserves for your business to grow? So who deserves for you to essentially sell more and make more money, right? And so some of these people might be your family, but also your clients, and also yourself, because you work your butt off and you deserve it. And also, how about those prospects who aren't getting coaching right now, who aren't experiencing your great value, right? The value that you told us about, Keith, as Jeff. Don't those prospects deserve your amazing value too, right? Don't they deserve to save 33 days a year for 10 years, which is 330 total days? Don't they deserve this, right? Why would we let them suffer through not having this, right? If we're in this world to help each other, which I firmly believe, and this is not a religious statement, this is simply a statement of how I go about my work. It's just a belief I have. I think we're here to help each other. And if you help people in such tremendous ways, which you do, which of course you do, and the clients believe it, why would you keep that value from people? So this is, kind of circling back around, my dad deserves for me to succeed. My family deserves it. My clients deserve it because they want to work with a thriving company, a thriving provider, not a contracting, frightened one. And so who deserves it for you? And if you get clear on these, the work becomes easier to do, right? The difficult, uncomfortable work that we know we should do becomes easier to do.
And so I'm tracing the route back down to what you led off with. Coaches, we need to be talking to the clients that we've helped or we're helping that are succeeding, and we need to interview them and ask them, as Alex just did in this role play a little bit earlier, because that's where the belief, the mindset feeds the mindset of helping, and then leading to, hey, who out there can I help that deserves to grow based on what I've done for others?
Yes, agree. So is it okay to move on, Keith?
Please.
Everything we're talking about here and everything in my book, and really much of what I do in the world with sales teams and with organizations comes from positive psychology. And positive psychology is the study of what makes us happy and successful, as opposed to the rest of psychology, which is the study of what makes us screwed up, right? It's the study of depression and anxiety and everything else. So one of the things that positive psychology talks about, one of its main facets, one of its main light towers, is that perseverance and resilience, and the research finds this over and over again, perseverance and resilience is twice as important to success as talent is. And so think about the power of this, right? 2/3 of the equation to success is perseverance. Talent, 1/3. And so in our world, literally what this means is no doesn't mean no forever. It only means not at this moment. What's our job? To give people another moment. That's the work. We have to give people another moment.
And so, Alex, while you're taking a sip of your water there, coaches, I want to refer you to Coach Kevin Lawrence's Oxygen Mask book and the chapter on Double Your Resilience. Coaches, what are we doing to build a deep well and foundation of resilience? Because what Alex is sharing here, that's a very, very important part. 2/3 of it is perseverance, resilience.
Yeah, and what this means is that less talented people quite frequently outperform more talented people because they simply don't give up. And sometimes, ironically, the more talented people, the people that tell you, well, I've never failed at anything. Well, the first time they fail, they go into a little shell because they don't know what the hell to do because they haven't experienced it before. But the people sometimes who are the most successful are the ones who have failed the most, which tells you they have persevered the most as well, right? As Keith just said, they're the most resilient ones. And so I only do 2 quotes, and here's the first, and the next one follows. Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. So I just think that's fabulous. You never know if the next effort is going to be the one that makes you successful. So why the hell would you stop? If you've already been rejected 8 times, literally a 9th rejection is exactly the same. It's no worse. It's literally the same. And you never know if that ninth effort is going to be the one. So don't stop. Keep going. And the other quote I do here is Henry Ford. And he said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And I love this one. All right. Wake up in the morning, think you're going to have a terrible day. How's that day going to go? It's going to be terrible. Wake up in the morning, tell yourself you're going to have a really good day. Well, there's a chance, right? There's a good chance that day's going to be good. Now, you might still have bad stuff happen to you, but the way that you react to it is going to be totally different. Let's say you have to make a difficult phone call, a call you don't want to make. And as you're picking up the phone, right, as you're going to the phone, you say to yourself, this is going to be a terrible call. I don't want to do this. They're just going to yell at me. They're going to hammer me. This is going to be brutal. How's the call going to go? It's going to be brutal. Or you pick up the phone and say, I know this is going to be a tough one, but I'm going to do my best to help this person as much as I can, and then I'm going to move on with my day. You still got to have the call, right? You still got to do the same thing. It's just our approach to it is different, and then in turn, how we experience it is different. So whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And the beauty here is that we get a choice. How cool is that? We get to decide. We get to decide if we're going to try to make it good or if it's going to be terrible. It's literally up to us, right? One of the main facets of positive psychology. Let me see if I can find the book here really fast. It's Martin Seligman's Learned Optimism, right? And it's one of the first major, Martin Seligman, widely acknowledged as the founder of positive psychology. Still working well into his 80s at the University of Pennsylvania, still researching. Seligman says here in this book, and this was groundbreaking at the time, that we can learn optimism. We can teach ourselves to be optimistic. And so that's what I mean here by we get a choice. The copyright on this book is 1990 on the copyright page. So this came out in 1990. This was groundbreaking stuff at the time. Now it's, you know, a little more accepted and sort of comfortable to people, but, you know, darn near 30 years ago, if I have my math right, yeah, 30 years ago, amazingly, this was a big thought. So we get to decide. And so if one choice, I'm going to do the hard work, I'm going to try my best, I'm going to listen to what I can learn. I know that not everything's going to be great, but I'm going to do my best and try my hardest. That's this choice. And the other choice is, I know what I'm doing, right? I know it's not going to go well. I know how to sell. Thank you very much. This is the other choice. This choice helps our family and helps us and helps our clients. This choice hurts our clients, hurts us, and hurts our families. Literally, one choice is the right choice, and one choice is the incorrect choice. Make the right choice. Make the right choice. Keith, thoughts?
Let's see. So I've got some questions developing. Do you want to save them to the end, or do you want me to get into them now?
I have about 10 minutes to go in actions. So as you wish, we can do them now, or we can run through the actions because people already know what they are. We don't take a lot of time with them. You tell me, and we'll do it how you want.
Yeah, let's tackle this one. And I refer to it as locus of control. Okay.
Yeah.
All of our coaches are independent coaches.
Mm-hmm.
They're not employees. We're not a franchise. And so talk a little bit to the coaches who may be struggling with, hey, the locus of control is with me. Yes, I can use help from the outside, resources, etc., but I am the master of my success and the course that I chart. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, if you believe that the locus of control is external, then you know, right behind that thought is the thought that nothing I do matters. Right? It's out of my control. Other people have to do things so that I can be successful. If you have an internal locus of control, you are in control of your own destiny. And so I know today, here's how this would look practically. If I call on 10 prospects and leave 8 voicemails, but 2 of them pick up, and yes, they'll be busy, but I can schedule 1 phone call for later on in the week. That's 1 conversation this week that I didn't have before. And so that is an internal locus of control. It's in your control. And this internal versus external locus of control, my words for this that I use frequently is reactive selling versus proactive selling. So reacting to what's incoming, and let's say inquiries come in and we react to them, versus proactive selling, us going out to clients and prospects. So we want to be proactive sellers, because if we only react, and the vast majority of people who sell are reactive sellers, if we only react, we are a pinball bouncing around from one incoming inquiry to the next. And if the right inquiries come in, we might grow that year because we're at the mercy of the inquiries. But if the wrong inquiries come in, we will not grow that year. And it's totally out of our control, right? The locus of control, the actual control, not the locus of the control, the actual control is external. Whoever calls, that's what we get to deal with. So you reach out. You call on clients and prospects. Don't wait for them to come in. Take the control. Your family deserves that, and your clients and your prospects and your market deserve that. And you deserve it too.
So Alex, I do want to tie the second question in here. Talk about accountability. In the book, you talk about, hey, you need accountability, that this will help accelerate the journey. Now, our coaches, again, are independent, but they're in masterminds. They have peers that they've known for many years.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about accountability and how to approach it with our coaches.
So the process that I take my clients through, we're this is a little bit of a shorter amount of time that we're together than we will be in San Diego. So San Diego will have a little bit more time to talk about this. But accountability, essentially on the screen here, these are the four things that separate learning something new and then going back and reacting again, right, to what's incoming, versus actually applying it and making real change. So number one, we need to regularly make a plan, and I like weekly plans. Number two, we need to track the results. So if I plan to call 5 prospects, who did I call? Did I do it? What happened? How did it go? And then here's your accountability step. We need to report on the results to somebody who is expecting that report, right? The word for that is, in fact, accountability. So when clients say to me, I'm going to hold myself accountable, I will cringe 100% of the time, because it's kind of impossible. It's kind of impossible to hold yourself accountable. You have to be a very rare species to hold yourself accountable. We need somebody who is expecting our results to be able to say to us, where are the results? I didn't get them. What happened? I got them from all the other coaches, but not from you. I got them from all my other accountability partners, but not from you. And then if we do the accountability, we also have to do the recognition piece, which is showing the group that is being accountable together, the group of coaches, the success that the individuals are having. So, excuse me, this coach made a proactive call, and this is what happened. But that coach asked the did you know question and added the line item, and that's what happened. So we need accountability for just about anything new to take hold.
Okay, very helpful, very helpful.
All right. Thank you for being patient with my coughing fit. All right, so we go to the actions, yeah? Can we run through the last 10 minutes here?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so now we've done the mindset. We've talked about how to think, the 50%, right? How to think. We've talked a little bit about the system, which just now I showed you the 4 bullet points of how to implement this systematically at your business, at your coaching program. And now I want to talk to you about the 10%, which is the techniques. And so in general, they're about helping more people more, about communicating personally and relentlessly, and never ever worrying about over communicating. You can't do it, because the more that people hear from you, the more they buy from you. And the less they hear from you, the less they buy from you. And so the actions are like this. Number 1, use the phone. Use the phone. And I have a planner here which you can get on my website. Or in fact, Keith, perhaps you might want to distribute this to people. And on the planner, there are 8 kinds of people to, in about 2 minutes, quickly write down that you can call. Top clients who can buy more. Clients I haven't talked to in 6 months or more. I don't know if that's possible in your world, but it's possible in a lot of different worlds. Clients who were once with you but went away. They stopped buying. And good clients who just did something with you that you can follow up with. The top row is all clients. The bottom row is all prospects. Prospects I once talked to, but they never bought. Prospects I know are buying somewhere else. Prospects I've never talked to, but I want to make contact with. Prospects I'm actively speaking with, but they've not yet bought. So every week, my clients write down names in any of these categories. Doesn't matter which category, right? Who cares? The important thing is that you quickly plan 3 minutes, literally, and then quickly do. Quickly plan, quickly do. Not perfectly plan. That's impossible. You'll never feel like it's perfect. Quickly plan, quickly do. I had a business mentor years ago who taught me one of the defining lessons that I've taken with me through business. He said, when it's 80% ready, move. Do it. Put it into the world. Because the last 20% is dysfunctional. Now, in our world, this applies for coaches, for me, for you, Keith. If you're making products, right, if you're manufacturing, if you're distributing, it doesn't apply to the product, but it certainly applies to the selling and the marketing. 80% ready, move. The last 20% is dysfunctional. Questions?
Great stats. Great tool. Yes, coaches, I'm going to, we'll get this posted for you with the webinar as a follow-up. Thank you, Alex.
You're very welcome. Number 2, pivot to the sale, ask for the business. Ask for the business. Should we write it up? When would you like to start? How would you like to pay? I have a meeting in the middle of February or a meeting in the middle of March. Which one do you prefer? When do you want to get together to finalize this? Pivot to the sale. Ask for the business. It's not used car salesman-y. It's helpful. You can probably think in your own life where you've been ready to pay. You had your wallet out. You're ready to buy. But the salesperson doesn't ask you for the business, so you don't. Ask for the business. Number 3, the did you know questions. Did you know that we also do X or Y or Z? I have a did you know planner here. So the main 4 areas are in the middle here. And we'll go through this again in San Diego, Keith. So we'll have a little more time to dive into this. But if the customer buys, I don't know, let's say CEO coaching services, here are the 4 or 5 did you knows that I can ask them. But if the customer buys strategic planning, right, and quarterly planning, then here are the 4 or 5 did you know questions I can ask them. And so literally at all times, when your coaches are talking to somebody on the phone, here is a list of other things they can also ask them. And the key with this planner, just as the key with this phone call planner, is it has to be in front of our eyes. If it's buried in a pile, it's not very useful. And sometimes I feel like the reason that we don't call very much is we don't know who to call. We have an address book, we have an email inbox, but we don't know who to call. And if we take 3 minutes to plan it at the start of the week, we will know who to call, and then we will call. Number 4 is the reverse did you know question. What else are you buying elsewhere that I can help you with? What other coaching services are you looking for that I can help you with? What else is on your wish list for development of your executives? Ask them to tell you what else they need, and they will.
Alex, this is a great opportunity for coaches too. When you ask that question, if you don't provide those services, you may have a great referral partner in mind that you can feed a referral to. For example, you know, a CPA attorney, someone in the learning space. So that question itself may not generate opportunity directly for you, but for your ecosystem of partners, referral partners that you're taking care of. And we know that when you give a referral, often then you can ask and receive a referral.
Amen. Good, I agree. Number 5, proposal follow-up. 3 FUs mean 3 follow-ups. We follow up 3 times.
Our
And
coaches were thinking nothing but follow up on that, Alex, just to be clear, okay?
F you, Keith.
Follow up,
That
we'll
means
do it.
follow up. Follow up, Keith. You want 3 follow-ups, and we want to just be present. You know, we talked about my insulation contractor who followed up, and he got the business. People want you to follow up. I can't tell you how many times, because we do a lot of storytelling with my clients, a lot of success stories are told. I can't tell you how many times my clients have said that their customers say, I'm so glad you followed up on this, right? I'm so glad you asked. I've been meaning to call you, but they don't because they're busy. They don't get to it. They forget. You know, when we are present in front of clients and prospects, it literally saves them time, right? It does them value because then they don't have to think about it to pick up the phone and call us. We're there. We're present. And so it's a huge value to clients and prospects when we're in front of them. And they literally will thank you for saving them the time to have to think of it to do it themselves. So be present. Number 6, listen, what % of your executive coaching business would you guess we have? Joe. Joe says 30% or 50%. And you say, really? You're one of my best clients. How do we make that more? I'd love to work with you some more. What would that look like? And you literally ask for a little more. If he said 30, ask for 50. If he said 20, ask for 30. How do we work together some more? I think this is number 7, obtain referrals. So who do you know, Keith, like yourself, who would also benefit from this kind of a talk or webinar? And when we're together, we'll actually do a practice run through this. I have a planner for asking for referrals, and I'll take you through it when we're together in San Diego. Number 8, obtain testimonials. What are some of your favorite things about working with us? Notice I don't use the word testimonial when I'm asking for testimonials because it stresses people out. And Keith, when we were doing a role play, when you were Jeff, I asked you this very question. You said, I've been with you for 10 years. I said, that's a long time. What do you like best about working with us? What's kept you with us so long?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Number 9, use testimonials. So just having them is great, but sometimes it's like a tree falling in the forest. We need to use them. So we have a customer similar to you. I have a client who's just like you, Jeff. Here's what he has to say about us. Now I'd like to, and you paste it. You put it in right here into the space. And you say, I'd like to help you this way. Now what's better for you, Tuesday or Thursday? When do you want to talk about that? So we need to share the testimonials when we're selling. An after action call is a great technique in your world because it's after a meeting or it's after a coaching session. And you say, listen, are you good? Did everything go okay? Any questions? Do you need anything else from me on that? Great. Now, what other coaching services do you need that I can help you with? Or did you know we also do CEO coaching one-on-one? Or you can go to a referral and you can say, great, I'm so glad you're good. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it too. Now listen, who do you know that would benefit from this kind of work the way that you do? And finally, handwritten notes. Keith, do you remember the last handwritten note you got?
Hey, Alex, go back one slide and then I'll definitely answer that here in a moment. And so coaches, think about when you do your quarterly planning sessions and when you do annual planning sessions, think about how energized and exhausted everyone is. Now that's a little bit of a dichotomy, but coming out of an annual planning session, often people say, man, I'm exhausted. That was a grueling, great 2 days, but we're so energized about the future and how we're going to grow this business. And so there's the opportunity thereafter, probably for about a week, Alex, what I've learned, I call it the emotional decay curve, where everybody's really jazzed before they get back into the day-to-day routine, kind of get pounded back down a little bit. They're excited and they're wanting to help. And so coaches think in terms of what else do you need? And also, did you know? But also extend that not only to referrals, but also LinkedIn recommendations. And this is something I did with a local client is after the session, I said, hey, would everyone go onto my LinkedIn and make a little, provide a commentary or whatever on how you thought this session went, how you worked with me and so on. And so there's multiple areas you can ask. Not too many though, because you can bury your client, of course, but there's some very important ones. LinkedIn and referrals are very important. Alex, any comment on that or any thoughts?
Just totally agree. I think you said it very well. I totally agree. When I do my speeches, which is how I grow my business, I think your 1 week period is about right. You kind of strike when there's heat,
Mm-hmm.
and because the heat fades very quickly, and a week or more later, it's a lot less hot than it was. And I would even suggest that the first half of that week is the hottest time, right? And then it goes down exponentially after that. So yeah, I totally agree.
So you're asked a question about handwritten notes.
Yeah, when's the last time? Do you remember?
Yeah, the one that comes to mind is Joey Coleman, who's one of our guest thought leaders, who wrote Never Lose Another Customer. And after we had a chat, he sent me an autographed book, and then in it was a handwritten note on a very interesting little card that was odd shaped and so on.
When was this, Keith?
This was probably about a month ago or so.
A month ago or so. And you remember what the card looks like and kind of what it said? Do you remember what the note said?
Yeah. So yeah, the note, he's got these great cards. It has the number 100 on it because he believes in his thought leadership, the first 100 days are most important to when you acquire a new customer, that they're going to stay with you. You live or die, you prove it. And then on the back of it, I believe he wrote, here's to never losing another customer again. I look forward to working together, something like that.
Very good. So I would like to underline for everybody that Keith remembers exactly what the note looked like. He remembers exactly who it was from, and he remembers exactly what it was said, and it was about 1 month ago. Now, Keith, tell me about all of the emails you received that day.
All 100 of them?
Who were they from? What did they say? And what folder, which specific spam folder did they end up in?
Okay, there we go.
You can't do it. So my point is, when you send a handwritten note, they're so rare that people will remember every detail about them. When you send an email, especially if it's to somebody who doesn't know who you are, when you send an email, you're basically doing nothing at all, right? Sending an email is only a little tiny bit better than doing nothing at all. And sometimes it is kind of exactly like doing nothing at all. So the handwritten note stands out. The handwritten note will capture business for you. The handwritten note will almost always be communicated back to you on. So I hear back from almost everybody who I send a note to. Now the email, they often email it back to me, which they don't get the irony of that, but I hear back from almost everybody. So that's go ahead.
One question though. So you have you meet with someone, you write them a handwritten note.
Yeah.
Do you wait for them to call, or do you wait about a week and then launch a call to them?
I don't know that I'm that structured about it. I hear from almost all of them because they say how nice it is, and I don't use my handwritten notes. Here, I'll show you a couple of things here. I don't use my handwritten notes to sell with, although they certainly help me sell. But like I'm a fountain pen guy. I just went to my box of fountain pens behind me, and so this is one that's made in Japan actually, and this is one that's made right here in America, and so over here on the wall I have some shelves that's a few steps from my desk, and on those shelves are a bunch of different inks, and in my cabinet over there across the office there are some stationary different papers. And so every Friday at about 2 or 3 o'clock, I pick a pen, I pick an ink, and I pick a paper, and I write 3 to 5 handwritten notes. I don't write thank you notes, I write human notes. I write about something that we talked about. So did we talk about a sports team or a game? Did we talk about a car? Did we talk about vacation? Did we talk about kids? Did we talk about work? Whatever we talked about, I write about that. I wish them the best with it. And almost always they bring it back up to me. And I will tell you, I don't turn it into a selling process, but 100% of the time, they help me make money, almost always.
Okay,
and I let it develop naturally.
The power of the pen. Hey, Alex, looking at time, we should be bringing things to close here shortly.
Okay, that's convenient because my next slide is the last slide. And the last slide is kind of summarizing things. Be present. Show your clients and your prospects that you care, because that's all they want from us, right? They just want to know that we won't let them down. We won't screw them up. Your clients love you. They know this. Now I want you to know this, and then I'm going to ask you to behave accordingly, right? So be bold, be present, be interested, and your clients and your prospects will thank you with their money. That's what they'll do. They will thank you with their money.
Okay, I'm going to repeat that again. Be bold, be present, be interested, coaches, and the clients will thank you with their money. So selling boldly, Alex Goldfayn. You can go to www.goldfayn.com. These resources are on Alex's website, his blog articles, as well as some videos. And Alex, thank you so much. Coaches, I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and get a copy of the book, listen to it on Audible as we prepare to see Alex in San Diego on Sunday, April 28th. Alex, final word is yours.
Thank you for having me. I'm grateful. I appreciate it. I want to say to the coaches that you guys do really important and great work, you know, and don't lose sight of that. Your clients know the power of the work you do. In fact, they might know it better than you know it because they experience it. They experience the value, whereas we tend to only hear the negativity and the complaints. So never forget how important your work is, and then behave that way. You know, put it in front of as many customers and prospects as you can because they deserve that value. People deserve your value. And as I said a second ago, when you present it to them, they will thank you with their money.
Okay, Alex, so much. Coaches, thanks for listening in today. Selling Boldly, Alex Goldfayn. Goodbye, everybody.